Insiders are revealing to me the true story of how Meghan Markle failed.
He describes her very well, and he does this by taking a look.
Prince Harry stood at the podium, posture firm, voice steady, every word of his carefully prepared speech designed to command respect.
It's like, where is the mic? Where is the mic? At one point she yelled, give me a f***ing mic, and they didn't give it to her.
It sounds fake.
The audience hung on his words, the room hushed in a kind of reverence. For a brief moment, it seemed like the Sussexes were back in familiar territory, polished and united. But what happened next shattered that illusion in a way no press release could ever repair.
Hi, everybody. And there's this guy with the purple jacket is trying to block her from going on stage.
It's just so disgusting.
Without warning, Meghan Markle appeared. Not introduced, not invited, she simply stepped onto the stage with the kind of boldness that demanded attention. Her eyes weren't on the audience. They weren't on Harry either. They were locked on one thing, the microphone in his hand.
And she goes around and she even ignores him.
Wow.
She ignores the guy.
This scandal comes as no surprise. Speculation has been simmering for years.
It was the same gesture we'd all seen before Meghan approaches. Harry steps aside, and the spotlight shifts smoothly to her. But this time, something was different. This time, Harry didn't move. For a few suspended seconds, the entire room seemed to hold its breath. Meghan smiled tightly, waiting for the handover she clearly expected.
When Meghan walked on stage, she could have said, "Oh, here's my wife," and hand over the microphone. Did he do it? No.
Take a listen.
Yet Harry's grip tightened around the MIC, his body language rigid, his voice pushing forward as though nothing had happened. He didn't pause to acknowledge her. He didn't step back. He didn't yield. And that's when it hit the crowd.
This guy right behind Harry, the same guy that rejected to give her the mic last year, is looking at her and he doesn't care.
Again, I have to be careful what I say, but
Woof!
This wasn't just a slip or an awkward moment. It was a visible break in the dynamic they'd perfected for years, the prince who always stepped aside and the duchess who always stepped forward. In that frozen silence, the illusion cracked. Meghan stood waiting. Harry stood firm. The audience, caught between shock and confusion, gave nothing back. No polite applause, no nervous laughter, just silence so sharp it felt like a warning.
And she's going around causing trouble, looking for a mic. Where is the mic? With that absolutely manic smile on her face.
What?
And in that silence came the question no one dared ask out loud. Was this the night the world finally saw the first real fracture between Harry and Meghan play out in public? From the back of the room, it might have looked subtle, but for anyone watching closely, the tension was impossible to miss.
See, there's Harry telling her to back off. You see his hand here, below his big face, pointing at her, telling her to stay back.
Meghan didn't just walk onto the stage, she pushed past a man in a purple jacket who appeared to block her path. Without hesitation, she brushed by, ignoring him completely, her eyes locked on the prize. She was determined to stand beside Harry, determined to take the spotlight, whether the moment called for it or not. Harry, meanwhile, barely shifted. He turned his head just enough to acknowledge she was there, but not enough to invite her in.
It is absolutely disgusting, this woman, in my very humble opinion, and that people are still not getting it. It's beyond the pale.
Normally, this would be the cue. Harry would smile, introduce her, hand over the MIC like he had so many times before, but instead, his hand tightened around it. His voice carried on, and for the first time, Meghan's move didn't land. She lingered at his side, her hand resting briefly on his back, a gesture meant to signal unity, but it felt forced, almost desperate.
Here's what I would say about that. I think it's very important to shift this idea.
it's really quite sad.
The audience picked up on it instantly. They'd been conditioned to expect a smooth transition, a practiced handoff. But Harry wasn't budging, and the longer he spoke, the more obvious it became.
Play the opposite and make sure you can be taken seriously. My point in all of this is that no matter what you look like, you should be taken seriously.
This wasn't a mistake. This was a choice. Seconds ticked by like minutes. Meghan stood there smiling, waiting for her moment, while Harry pushed forward, eyes locked on the crowd, determined not to break.
You keep saying Meghan Markle, you know I'm Sussex now.
It was the kind of standoff that needed no words. One person reaching, the other resisting, and everyone watching could feel the weight of it. Then came the reaction, or rather, the lack of one. Not a clap, not a cheer, not even the polite murmur you'd expect at a royal event. Just a silence so cold it hung heavy in the air, a silence that told Meghan exactly what the room was thinking. And when she finally stepped back, walking away from the podium, it wasn't just an exit, it was a retreat. That moment alone would have been shocking enough.
I like working hard.
Why are we still here? just to suffer.
But what came next made it clear that this clash on stage wasn't just a one-off. It was the start of something much bigger. By the next morning, the raw tension from that stage had almost vanished, at least in the official coverage. Major outlets released polished photos of Meghan smiling beside Harry, both looking perfectly in sync. To the casual viewer, nothing unusual had happened. But on social media, the uncut clips told a very different story. They showed the silence, the refusal, the awkward retreat. Within hours, those videos spread like wildfire, racking up millions of views and sparking furious debate. Supporters defended Meghan, saying the moment was exaggerated. Critics claimed it was proof of cracks in their relationship. And as the two narratives battled for control, one thing became clear. The carefully crafted image of unity had slipped, and the world had finally caught a glimpse of what lay underneath. Behind the scenes, the tension wasn't just about a microphone. It was about control of speeches, appearances, and even charities. Insiders whispered that Meghan had quietly pushed to attach her name to nearly every initiative Harry launched, blurring the line between his causes and hers. What began as a partnership soon started to look like a takeover. Critics argued that Harry's legacy, his work with veterans, mental health, and children's welfare was being overshadowed. Every time Meghan stepped forward, the headline shifted, leaving Harry in the background of his own projects. And that stage moment, where he finally held firm, felt like a rare glimpse of him reclaiming space. For supporters, it was teamwork. For skeptics, it was power play. But either way, the balance between them had never looked shakier. For many viewers, that silent standoff became more than just an awkward moment, it became a symbol. Supporters of Harry praised him for finally standing his ground, calling it a rare glimpse of independence after years of being overshadowed. Meghan's critics, on the other hand, saw her attempt to grab the spotlight as proof of what they'd been saying all along, that she couldn't resist making every moment about herself. But it wasn't just about the couple, it was about how the audience reacted. The silence in that room told its own story, and when the clips hit social media, thousands of comments echoed the same theme. People weren't buying the polished version anymore. The carefully staged image of unity was cracking, and the backlash was louder than either Harry or Meghan expected. In the days that followed, insiders claimed Harry was uncharacteristically firm behind closed doors. For years, he had stepped aside, letting Meghan take center stage without resistance. But this time, he reportedly made it clear not every appearance would be shared, and not every speech would be interrupted. It wasn't anger, it was resolve, a quiet signal that he wanted his voice to stand on its own again. Meghan, however, wasn't about to fade into the background. Friends close to her suggested she felt undermined, even embarrassed, by what happened on stage. To her, stepping forward wasn't about stealing the spotlight, it was about being seen as an equal partner. And if Harry was going to draw boundaries, she was going to push back in her own way, ensuring her presence couldn't be ignored. It was no longer just about one awkward moment. It was about two people, each determined to prove their place not only in public, but in each other's lives. For many, the microphone standoff wasn't just a fleeting awkwardness, it was a glimpse into the deeper struggle shaping their marriage and their brand. Ever since leaving the royal family, Harry and Meghan have presented themselves as a team, united against critics and determined to build their own empire. But that night raised a question few dared to ask. Are they truly equal partners, or are they competing for the same spotlight? Every move they make is scrutinized. Every silence is interpreted. And now, with that single moment frozen on video, the world has started to wonder if the balance between them is shifting. Was Harry's refusal an act of quiet rebellion? Or was it the first visible crack in a partnership that has always insisted on its strength? Whatever the truth, one thing is certain. The illusion of perfect unity is gone, and people are watching closer than ever. In the end, it wasn't just about a speech, or a microphone, or even a moment of silence. It was about what that silence revealed. For the first time, the world saw Prince Harry and Meghan Markle not as a perfectly polished unit, but as two people pulling in different directions. One refusing to step back, the other refusing to be sidelined. The cameras captured it. The audience felt it. And now, millions are asking the same question. Was this just a fleeting clash in public, or the first sign of a deeper divide that neither of them can hide? Because if a single microphone can spark this much tension, what happens the next time they're on stage together?